What's up? What's up? Welcome to another market recap. This is September 24th, 2025. So let's get into it. The main trade I was looking for last night was really this pound dollar. 1 hour CBO, kind of ACB more so than anything. I guess like a 1 hour ACB, 4 hour CBO. But I did not get the pullback I was exactly looking for. So I still can see my alert set right here, this dotted line. Price, we swap back to the pivots. Earlier in the day before yesterday, it like pretty much tapped the level I was looking at, but at that time I wasn't really watching this. Afterwards, I set an alert and we kind of position sized it looking for another kind of retest of that level to then take it short. My alert never really triggered. It kind of had this trend in here and it broke it and ran. So if we swap over to the weekly kind of swing trading setup, you can see it. Just didn't really get the entry where I would have liked. In hindsight, looking at it, I think I probably could have taken something right there. But it would have required me to adjust this position size to likely a 2-to-1 rather than a 4-to-1. And I think I could have taken it. But I was mainly looking for that 4-to-1 kind of position sizing. I just didn't quite get the pullback. But the overall kind of bias of the trade played out. Pound CAD gave an entry, but it didn't really play out. I mean, kind of had a breakdown and then a breakup. It still might play out, but not as nice as pound dollar. These other kind of dollar pairs did, for the most part, play out. Surprisingly, like dollar yen kind of had the nicest movement at all of them. So. But I didn't take any of these either. I was primarily waiting for that pound dollars to pull back and hit my alert. I wasn't really sitting in front of the charts. And by the time I did get back in front of the charts and took a look, later that evening, they were already starting to break out and run. So I did have one trade that I'm currently in, which is this Euro Aussie trade. Just kind of hovering around the break even, if anything, at the moment. I'll actually go back to live because it'll be a little easier to see with the updated pivots. So yeah, I was just hovering at the moment at break even. Entered it about 4 hours ago or so, but it hasn't really done much. I don't know why my position sizing just got messed up. I'll have to fix that. But yeah, I've been kind of watching this trade for a minute, right? Looked at it as an ABO in this kind of area and said it broke out, kind of retested these highs. You can just kind of level you can see here on your 4 hour time frame. Tapped it, got a reversal, then essentially got this kind of double top and then a breakdown and pull back for a retest. So I'm looking at this as a wave 1 break, wave 2 pullback, and I'm playing a wave 3. So essentially like a wave 3 CBO on my 1 hour and an ACB on my 10-minute, a really nice ACB on my 10-minute. So I have a position size for 2-to-1. Which now it doesn't, after the kind of the pivot swapped over, my 2-to-1 target doesn't really line up with S1 like I'd prefer. Could have potentially taken this trade a little bit tighter. I mean, don't know. We'll see what happens. I like the overall price action. There's some negatives to it. There's the negative kind of with this 4 hour, with it bouncing off of the 4 hour 50 and 4 hour 200. So that's a negative. But it is a lower low on your 4 hour and it's a lower low on your 1 hour. So it is a trend change. It's also kind of like a head and shoulders pattern, right? Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. My stop's pretty well protected above 0.618, as well as above these previous kind of highs here, as well as above that left shoulder. And it's above this previous kind of low that was tested right there. And the daily chart's pretty nice, right? Like the daily chart's shaping up to essentially be a daily IBO and could push all the way down to the daily 200. So it has plenty of room to move on a daily time frame. The 4 hours is just the only kind of negative I've got with the EMAs and how they're lining up, right? This could just be a pullback and then a continuation and another kind of retest here to a double top on your 4 hour. That happens, this kind of trade idea I have doesn't play out, but more so I like the 1 hour and the 10 minute. So that's why I took the trade. And most of your kind of Aussie pairs broke out. I think if I switch to here, you can see it. Like you also had this kind of trade on Aussie yen that I was watching at the same time. It pulled to 0.382, but didn't really have as nice of a stop protection as I did on Euro Aussie, as well as the daily's not as nice as Euro Aussie. And then Pound Aussie also had a breakdown and a retest. Decent kind of stop protection here above the EMAs, but the daily time frame isn't as nice as Euro Aussie. So I've been waiting for Euro pairs to break down, essentially weak Euro. So this Euro Aussie plays into that bias. Then Aussie dollar, Aussie CAD. Most Euro Aussie pairs had a bullish move, and I think it was possibly due to news, like the rate announcement or something for Aussie. So, which like this Aussie Swiss right now is shaping up to be essentially an IBO, but same kind of thing. 4 hour already has a rejection right there, but it has a nice daily. So this is still kind of an option for this evening. I mean, the entry would be now is the only thing. But price action wise, I liked this Euro Aussie the most. I think it's worth a shot. Entry wise, I was a tad preemptive with my entry right here. Price was breaking on a micro time frame, and I entered as it was breaking, but I entered before it closed the 30-second candle, and it ended up closing back above that trend line. But eventually the entry I was looking for occurred here, as well as there was a nicer kind of 2-minute entry that occurred right here that broke that previous low and a nice strong push. So I would have inevitably entered somewhere in this area regardless. If I waited for a 2-minute entry or if I entered just a little bit later on a 30-second entry. So, yeah. I'm waiting for spreads to calm down and then see if we get a breakdown here. I'm still sitting at full risk, but likely when it breaks this 4 hour 50, it has a nice close below it, I'll probably clip the high here and then just see what happens. Either way, that was my session for last night. So I'm going to go build my watch list for the upcoming session, and I'll catch you guys here in a minute. All right, and we're back. So I have a couple different groups. Obviously still have my Aussie group from this Aussie trade. Depending on this closes, I'll entertain taking another trade if one presents themselves. This Aussie Swiss is entertaining, but the entry is roughly about now after once the spreads kind of calm down. So given the fact I'm already in Euro Aussie, this will probably be a no-go for me. Aussie yen might have potential if Euro Aussie doesn't work out, but if Euro Aussie doesn't work out, likely Aussie yen's completely broken down and it won't play out either. Then Pound Aussie, similar to Euro Aussie, entry is roughly about now once spreads calm down. But if Euro Aussie doesn't work out, then this likely won't have an entry later either. So I have a dollar group. Dollar Swiss and Euro dollar are the two more interesting pairs to me. I like the dailies for both, right? Like pretty overextended trend on your daily time frame. Looks like it's potentially starting to break down and give us like a daily IBO eventually. Same thing on both, right? So nice kind of room to move, at least to the daily 50 on either one of these. So plenty of room to move to like a 2R target. If you enter around a pivot and put a target around S1R1. I don't love how price action wise, it's not really broken this previous high right here. So it's not really a full out trend change yet. I mean, you technically are a trend change on your 1 hour, but your 4 hour is not a trend change. You do have this sort of kind of inverse head and shoulders here on your 4 hour though. So yeah, it's interesting. You kind of have a also sort of head and shoulders here on your 4 hour on euro dollar. Just not as clean. I think euro dollar might be nicer than dollar Swiss. So readjust that. Because essentially your 1 hour is a CBO, wave 1 break, coming back for wave 2, play wave 3. 4 hour would be an IBO. And then your 10-minute time frame on a pullback will be an ACB. So all three time frames really align. I don't love how it's kind of forming a double bottom right here though. And if it pulls back from that double bottom, then you kind of have some rangy sideways price action. So we'll just see how it develops. But I think out of these dollar pairs, it's one of the nicer options. I have dollar Mexican flagged for a CBO, but I don't love the breakout here. I wish it was a little stronger. And I don't love the 4 hour either. But I think it has potential. It's just something I'm going to watch, but I probably likely won't trade it. And then dollar ZAR would essentially be an IBO, so a wave 3 IBO, but it's already bouncing off of the 4 hour 50. So I don't love it. I would like it a lot more if price would have just continued breaking and then been a CBO today. Like this would have been a super clean kind of CBO on this 1 hour time frame, and then everything would align. You've been a CBO, you've been an IBO on your 4 hour, and ACB on your 10-minute. It would have looked pretty good because you've got plenty of room to move in your daily to the 50 or just the previous lows. So yeah, I'll be watching this, but probably more so for waiting to see if an IBO does occur today. Then tomorrow there will likely be a CBO. So I'd be more interested in trading a CBO on this, just given the fact that like it's held this 4 hour 50 pretty well and it's bouncing off of it again. So I'd prefer to not try and trade through it and just trade after it's broken. Third group I have is a Huff group. So all of these Huff pairs have some pretty kind of nice breaks. I think they're the nicer setups out of everything I kind of have sitting here. Is this Huff group? Granted, it's an exotic pair, so spreads may keep me out of it. I'm going to assume the only one I'm potentially be able to trade is this dollar Huff from a spreads perspective. But it's the same concept on all of these, right? Like it's playing a CBO, like a wave 3, roughly, CBO. CBO on your 1 hour, IBO on your 4 hour, and with the pullback, there'll be ACBs on your 10-minute. So they're pretty clean. Plenty of room to move on your daily time frame to the EMA. Yeah, on this dollar Huff, there's this level that's been respected here. It's been respected here. It's been respected here. Recently, it's been respected here. It's been respected here. So looking at that as potential support on a pullback play. So to enter this trade, I would likely be looking to put my stop around 0.618 below that level, below the EMAs, if I'm able to. I think there's potential here as well to kind of push the target to the 4 hour 200, because it's not even reaching the daily 50 yet, but that's essentially the previous lows here on your daily time frame. So you do have room to move with a little bit deeper of a pullback. I think you could position size this even possibly like a 3-to-1, maybe even a 4-to-1. Just kind of depends what price looks like when it pulls back. Yeah, I think these huff pairs they're interesting. They definitely have potential. They're all breaking trend. They all have nice kind of strong breakouts. The price action matches on your 4-hour and 1 hours. Everything kind of just lines up. It'll just mainly be what spreads look like. So, then the last kind of oddball pair I have is this Euro CAD. This would be a Wave 3 IBO. It has this kind of on a 10-minute time frame. You can see it like a break of trend here coming back for a pullback. So an IBO, essentially like a CBO here on your 10-minute. Not really anything on your 4-hour daily time frame wise. Like I'm at a pretty overextended trend at this point. So it's in need of a pullback. It's just, is it going to be now or not is the question. I don't love this bit of price action right here on your 4-hour, 1 hour. Like I'd prefer price to have kind of pushed along this direction rather than breaking down. And then we get this breakdown. I think that would have been a lot stronger because you really only have a lower low at the moment on your 1-hour time frame, but your 4-hour doesn't. You'd have to essentially break this low. So even if this was a CBO, it'd still be a little funky due to this low. I think it's an option. It's just not perfect. It's not like an A grade trade or anything, but I definitely feel like there's an edge to the downside on it. So but I'll watch it and see. More so mainly interested in these huff pairs, and then hopefully this Euro Aussie trade plays out. Either way, development watch, still the same stuff. Watching a bunch of Kiwi pairs, still watching some Euros as well, and a couple of yens. But all the same stuff we've been talking about all week, kind of waiting for some breakdowns to occur. They haven't really occurred yet on these Kiwi pairs, but still lining up nice, still kind of, whenever they do break down, there'll be some pretty solid IBOs. Anyways, that's all I got, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. See ya.